Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm doing a video today comparing the first generation and third generation Aqua Terra. This is a video I'd been intending to do for a while, and interestingly enough, between the last time I did a video on the Aqua Terra and now, Omega released a brand new series of Aqua Terras, which curiously seem to combine features of the two watches that I'm going to discuss here. Namely the first and third generation Aqua Terra. I'm going to show them here all next to each other in the official Omega photos, and you can definitely see that the newest one has taken design cues from the first generation and mixed them with the third generation. So I think it's sort of an affirmation of the fact that both of these designs are really beautiful in their own way, and one might be able to argue that Omega's taken the best of both of these designs to make the newest one. But back to the subject at hand, the two watches I wanted to compare now are the third generation, which is the one on the left, and the first generation Aqua Terra, which is on the right. The watch on the left has a 41 millimeter case diameter. The watch on the right is 39.2 millimeter. And even though there is a 1.8 millimeter difference there, the two watches wear remarkably similarly. I think that's also due to the fact that they both have 20 millimeter lug width bracelets and somewhat similar proportions. The older watch has a little bit of a longer lug to lug distance. As you can even see it in the photo that the lugs are a little bit longer than the newer one. It's not a big difference, but it's there. Other notable differences: the shape of the crown. You can see here, the older one has a much more traditional shape. The newer one is a little bit unusual, sort of more narrow, closer to the case. Both work okay. I really don't think I have too much of a preference there. The dials are quite similar on the two, with two big exceptions. The placement of the date window changed. In the newer third generation, it was moved from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And as you might be aware, after the first generation Aqua Terra, Omega added vertical lines to the dial, which were then changed to horizontal lines on the third generation watch you see here. And even more interestingly, the newest Aqua Terra, which I mentioned at the beginning of the video, which was released, I believe, June 2024, shares a very similar case shape with the third generation, but uses a gloss black dial without any striping on it, going back to the first generation. So it's an interesting thing. I wish I could see one in person, and perhaps one day I will. But for now, back to these two watches. As you can see, even the shape of the hands is pretty similar between the two. They use the arrow pointed hand for the minutes, and the second hands are also really still quite similar. Another small difference in the dials: the older one has a double marker for 12 o'clock. The newer one uses the same single marker that the other numbers have. These are both wonderful looking dials. The newer one, I have to say, is greatly aided by an amazing anti-reflective crystal that really makes the dial glow. The older one, unfortunately, does not have that. Here's a view of the back, the bracelets. This is another interesting area connected with the newest Omega, which I'll mention in a minute. But as you can see, the older Omega on the right has much more rounded links, a slider clasp, which is an old style of clasp Omega used on many watches, which only has the Omega logo and symbol, rather, I should say. And the newer one has much more flattened links, has polished center links, and as you can see, uses a butterfly type of clasp, and the word Omega is written out underneath the symbol. I really like the old bracelet here. It's extremely comfortable. I love the feel of the rounded links against the skin. I think that just feels nicer and has less sharp edges than the new one. The new one obviously is technically superior. It's made with screwed in links. It's more solid. The slider clasp on the old one, sometimes there's a little screw that holds it together that falls out, so it does have some deficiencies as compared to the new one, but I just love the look and feel of the old bracelet. And what's interesting is, once again, Omega seems to have taken a design cue from this older Aqua Terra, because the newest Aqua Terra from June 2024 has a bracelet that, to me, resembles the first generation Aqua Terra quite a bit. As they've brought back the rounded aspect to the links. Another interesting observation, but it would be nice if I could get one of the new ones to look at in person. And I wanted to just highlight the crystals again here. I took this shot in a situation with a great deal of reflections. As you can see, the older watch does not do a good job of minimizing those, while the new one, the dial, even in the most reflective environment, the dial is still somewhat readable. And in most normal environments, it's almost like the crystal is not even there. So here's a shot of the two watches on wrist side by side. I'll show them individually as well. As you can see, and as I mentioned in the beginning, the two wear pretty similarly, despite their difference in case size. I think this is the ideal size. I know a lot of people like the 38 millimeter version of the new Aqua Terras, but I like the slightly larger one due to the fact that I think it helps it transcend into more sort of sporty attire when it's this size. And I don't think it's unnecessarily large to be considered more of a dressy watch as well. We're only talking 41 millimeter, and in the case of the older one, 39.2. So it's not like a giant watch by any means. And again, 20 millimeter with bracelet at the lugs is not a massive bracelet either. And here's the newer one on the wrist, just absolutely gorgeous. And here's the older one. I love the older one for a lot of reasons. It's obviously not the equal of the newer one due to the way the bracelet's built, some of the materials like the crystal, and this is a quartz version, but there were automatics that were exactly like this as well. But you have to admit that the old one is an amazing value. You get a watch that does not need much in terms of servicing. You have a extremely robust quartz movement that Omega uses in these watches, and you have the styling, almost the same styling as the new Aqua Terra, and you could argue almost even more similar to the newest Aqua Terra, the brand new one, because the first gen has a gloss black dial without striping, just like the newest one. It has rounded bracelet links, just like the newest one. So you're really getting a watch that shares quite a great deal with a current and expensive offering from Omega, and you can pick these up for a fraction of the price of a new Omega. Even if you're looking for the automatic, it would be much cheaper than a current Omega. But I would just go with the quartz for this type of watch because they look the same, and you just get a much easier owning experience, let's put it that way. So let me know what you think. I love both of these watches, as I said in the beginning. I'm excited to see the newest version as well, and it would be awesome to see all three side by side, I think, because that would demonstrate how they took cues from these two watches to make the new one. And that's it for this video. Again, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below, and thanks for watching.